All right. Good evening. My name is Bobby Burns, Councilmember Burns. I represent the 5th Ward. This is the Planning and Development Committee, Monday, November 11th. We're going to roll call in with those who are attending in person first, and then we will, to declare a quorum, and then we will, I'll acknowledge a motion to allow remote participation for council members who are participating remotely. And so let's start with a roll call for everyone who is here with us in person.
All right. Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Nusma.
Here.
Councilmember Reed.
Here.
Councilmember Ravel.
Here.
Councilmember Wynn. Here. Councilmember Hadakaris.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum, and if someone would make a motion.
I'll move to allow the remote participation of Councilmember Claire Kelly.
All right, and Councilmember Kelly, I believe, is at a conference.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? All right, so let's add Councilmember Kelly to the roll. All right, next up we have no minutes. We have public comment.
Yeah, public comments first.
So first up in person, we have Bonnie Wilson.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bonnie Wilson, and I live in the 1st Ward. As a longtime Evanston resident and real estate agent engaged in our community, and I only live a few blocks away from the new Legacy development, I can definitely see the need for more rental housing in the area, plus more commercial space. I very much support that the Legacy has offered 8 affordable units for this development. I do have clients who cannot afford to pay rent in downtown Evanston, but the fact that the Legacy is offering 8 units for those at 60% of AMI is a big plus for my clients who will be able to afford to live in downtown Evanston near transportation and shopping. I also support that the Legacy is also offering a scholarship program to help pay for the education of Evanstonians that want to enroll in construction or real estate trade classes. My real estate business is mostly with seniors, as I am a senior real estate specialist. I have taken my clients to the Marion to let them know about this wonderful senior retirement home. The fact that the owners have done such an outstanding job in developing the Marion, I know they will do the same for the Legacy development. I am asking for your support for the Legacy as a new rental development in downtown Evanston, and I look forward to having the Legacy as my new neighbor. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry Wendt.
Hi, my name is Terry Wendt. I live at 807 Colfax Street in the 1st Ward. I also appeared at the Land Use Commission on this project. I'm a professional urban designer and an architect. And I think the main point I'd like to repeat that I made at the commission meeting is that in my belief as a citizen of this city and as a nearby resident and someone who uses downtown all the time for shopping, for entertainment, went to the movies, saw, well, I won't tell you what I've seen lately, but the point is I use downtown. And it's a wonderful amenity, and the credit goes to the city council for creating a downtown full of amenities, lakefront parks, a beautiful library, many other amenities. And now you're facing, with this Legacy being just one example, demand to live downtown because it's a wonderful place to live and do business and to have fun. And as I said before at the other meeting, I would like to see the city council get together with developers and figure out how to maximize the amount of housing downtown and not try to put a lid on developments that are only responding to a demand to live in a wonderful downtown area that is competitive with any other location in the region. So I'm saying I support this project. I'd like to see more developments like this at higher densities, that's it. I support the Legacy project. So,
Thank you for your comment. Eric Passett.
I'm Eric Passett, I'm the owner of North Shore Apartments and Condos, and I also live in the 4th Ward. I'm more speaking up about the development on Custer, but I think they're both great ideas. I wish the one at the Legacy would have went further, a long time ago. My concern about the one on the one at Custer is parking. We are involved in management in a lot of buildings in that immediate area, and I think your findings, not your personally, but I think the findings on the amount of parking that is needed in that area is completely off. We take care of buildings on Hinman. 8 out of 10 residents have parking, have a car. We have a building at Elmwood in Maine, 22 units, 22 spots are filled up. We have another building on Washington with 36 units, 20 parking spaces, all of them are taken. And we have a building with studios and 1 bedrooms on Washington that doesn't have parking. I'd say 80% of the people have cars. So my only fear is that you're putting 48 spots for 230 units. It's going to overwhelm the area, and probably it's too late now. I'm all for the development. I'm not, not that I could stop it or anything, but my concern is that downtown Evanston's completely different. You have a lot of parking lots that are not being utilized. So it's not an apple to apple comparison. In Main Street area, we do not have any empty parking lots. And nor any city lots that really are being rented out for parking spaces. The one you were using on Custer, right near Maine, is now just being used for hourly parking. You used to be able to rent spots there. So my fear is that another 230 residents, now not all of them are going to have cars, but I guarantee you over half will. Where are they going to park? There is no, more street parking. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Nagley McMullen is listed. Yeah. Well, signed up. I don't know if online or. Bruce Baumberger. In person.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Baumberger. I live at 807 Davis, downtown Evanston. Also a member of the First United Methodist Church across the alley from the proposed Legacy development. And over the last several years, we've had several proposals for the Legacy site. And I'm very pleased to see the manner in which the developers have come forward, and adjusted their plans based on, feedback from neighbors, other people in the community. And I think the design of the Legacy at this point is excellent, fits in extremely well with the neighborhood. A very attractive use of building materials. It's really a state-of-the-art, development. A key factor in this building is the fact that we're going to have parking access at the rear of the building through the alley. And it is wonderful to know that the developer is going to put up $400,000 towards rebuilding, reconstructing a dilapidated alley that was probably paved in brick back in the 19th century. So that is a huge, huge improvement for the neighborhood. And as others have pointed out, we've got a lot more residential activity in downtown Evanston, good for our businesses, excellent affordable housing. This is a project that I think many of us support very strongly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sue Lobach.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sue Lolbach with Connections for the Homeless and Joining Forces for Affordable Housing. Over the last few years, Joining Forces has been looking at the zoning code, and we're very excited about Envision Evanston. And there's 3 main types of recommendations that we came up with in our work. One of them was to increase housing abundance. And I'd like to say that with the number of units that both the Custer Street and the Chicago Avenue building are adding, they are definitely contributing to that. We're also, another goal is to increase housing affordability. And I would say, you know, by virtue of fulfilling the requirements of the inclusionary housing ordinance, we do feel that these buildings are doing that as well. We always will push for more affordable units, and I would love to see more affordable units in both of these, particularly the Legacy, which has taken advantage of the bonuses, which are quite generous in Evanston. And so I would love to see a couple more affordable units there. But they are adding some affordability. So in general, we are very, very positive about these and hope that you will approve them and hope that we can get a few more units out of them at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Carol Youngman online.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I am a resident in the 4th Ward by the new Tapestry Station, actually butting up right behind the new Tapestry Station. And I want to just report that parking is an issue. So I know that they had something like 47, I think maybe they only ended up with 45 parking spots for 120 units. They are definitely spilling over onto Sherman Avenue. I've been working with Alder Nusma to rectify that. We're getting some additional permitting there, but with the addition of this this new development that has definitely under the recommended by far number of parking spaces, it's just gonna really increase our density even more. So I do want to say that parking is definitely an issue, and I would love to see. I mean, you're looking at the developer is looking at an open lot, so there's lots of possibilities to make that into a double closed lot, making 96 parking spaces instead of just the 48 that are going to be on an open lot. But the number of spaces for that number of units is definitely going to cause a big issue in the neighborhood, and especially with future developments that I'm sure are on the docket as well. So I really would like you to consider that because, you know, I'm 90% sure that all of the parking spots in the Tapestry Station are sold, and we're getting the spillover. And the fact that there are places to spill over is, you know, I think there's just not enough for people into the future usage. Americans love their cars. So the idea that most of these people aren't going to have cars might be a fallacy. The other thing in terms of, I would like to also echo the idea of more affordable units. I think that it's great that both of these buildings have inclusionary units, but we really have lost so much of affordable housing in Evanston that it would be really helpful to see more of that, either in these two developments or in the future. Also, just regarding this developer in particular,
If you
never got updated plans.
if you could bring your comments to a close, your time has exceeded. I've allowed a little grace period.
The other thing is the generator definitely needs to be, something has to be protected around the generator. Ours is 90 decibels. It goes off every week for probably a half hour. And I think it's way above what it should be for a neighborhood in this way. And also really look at trash and the way trash, the noise, and also the rats. We've got a problem still. So those are the three areas. Parking, definitely still an issue. Making sure that the generator is not going to be too noisy for the neighborhood. And certainly ours is now, and I'll talk to Alder Newsom about that. And then trash, rats are still an issue. Lots of chaos in the alley there.
All right. Thank you for your comments. We had people that signed up that weren't here, so and I think that was the last person, right? Or no?
Yes, that's
Yes,
the last
so that's
person
why
I
I
have
did
on
that.
the list. So,
Okay, so if I can get a motion to approve.
Mr. Chair, I'll move approval of the 2025 Planning and
schedule, yeah.
Development Committee meeting schedule.
Second.
All right, it's been motioned and seconded. Any comments, changes? Do we need to do roll call with online? Okay, you can go ahead.
Councilmember Burns,
Aye.
Councilmember Harkaz,
Aye.
Councilmember Reed,
Aye.
Councilmember Ravel,
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma,
Aye.
Councilmember Wynn, and Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
All right. We have our schedule is approved for 2025. If somebody can move PD 2, please.
So moved.
Second.
All right. I'm going to read it just for those at home. So this ordinance is a special use for a planned development for a 230 dwelling unit building with 48 open parking spaces at 910 through 938 Custer Avenue in the MXE Mixed Use Employment District. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there a presentation or how are we doing this?
Yeah, but I believe the developer has a 5-minute.
Okay. Let's go through the presentation.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the lights. Let's do the presentation first, if that works. Hit the white switch for the lights. There you go.
Yeah, okay. No, good evening. Paul Dinson. Good evening to the council members and the community. Paul Dinson with Catapult Real Estate Solutions. We're the proposed developer of the proposed project, along with City Pads, Andy Atow and Danny Zivin, Charles Davidson, who we've worked together a lot on developments, Arden Friedman from Built Form Architecture, and Charlie Seville, who is our sustainability consultant. We're the same team that did do Tapestry Station, which is right across the street at Sherman and Main Street. That was 120 units, and we're very proud of that project. It's fully leased and complete. This project is very near and dear to me, as was Tapestry. I've mentioned before, I grew up on Main Street in between Ridge and Asbury. I attended Washington School, King Lab School, Nichols Junior High, and ETHS. So I'm very familiar with this area. I worked right on the 700 block of Main Street all through high school. And with that being said, we feel that this project, if we go to the next one, this particular location dead ends into the Evanston Lumberyard. It's on Custer. It faces an embankment. If we can go to the next picture, maybe. It's a former factory, the Dard Manufacturing Factory. It's been vacant for a very long time. It's obsolete and needs to be renewed, and that's what we're planning to do. This site is the perfect TOD site. It's the ultimate transit-oriented development site. It has both the CTA and the metro within walking distance. It's one of only 2 locations in the Chicagoland area with that. Well, there's Davis, Main Street, and downtown. Maybe Alderman Issa, there's another one.
There are 3 outside of the city of Chicago. 2 in the 4th Ward and 1
Good old Oak Park, competing against Evanston again. At any rate, it's a great transit-oriented development site, and what that does is allows for less cars and greater density. Now, having less cars is a mandate, environmentally, but also it helps keep down the cost. And when we can do that, we can keep down the rents. Overall, the strategy is to keep the units relatively small, reasonably priced. So we're adding 230 units to the housing stock of Evanston. 23 of those will be on-site affordable. And we believe very strongly in doing the IHO units on-site. They'll be just as nice as every other unit. They'll have the same finishes. They'll be distributed throughout the building equally. They'll be in the same proportion of the studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, as every other one. We were successful at Tapestry in getting those leased. So we're going to continue that. It's also a great example of urban infill development, which is what the team specializes in. Taking an obsolete, derelict factory, an area that's not, a building that's not historic in any way, and creating something that wasn't there before to add to the existing housing stock. So we think it's a great example of that. In addition, it's west of the train tracks. And that's important to mention, we think, because Tapestry was the first development that was west. There's been a lot of development on the Chicago Avenue corridor and downtown, and we're trying to bring some of that development west, which really helps support the retail in the area. The retail in the area creates the absolute character that is essential to keep, and that needs to be supported. So this is the next phase of that. As I mentioned, the building, we can go to the next slide here. This is a view of the building from Main Street. The basic concept is a courtyard, like a lot of buildings in Evanston. But this is oriented toward the south. That's the view from Main and Custer, and it's going to let the maximum amount of light into the courtyard. It's only 5 stories. And when I say only 5 stories, because this site is 64,000 square feet. It's over 300 feet on Custer. It's a very large land site, twice as big as the Tapestry Station site, which was Vogue Fabrics. A lot of people may be familiar. So this is a very large site. We chose to keep it at a 5-story scale. We need a little height to clear the embankment of the Metro, but we didn't want to go too tall. And so light comes into the courtyard. It's surrounded by a dirt alley currently, and dead ends into Evanston Lumber on Custer. So those are the site conditions. We can go to the next one. This is a view of the porte-cochere entry. We've designed that for drop-off as well as Amazon and package delivery. It swings around back into the alley and out. So we've taken that into consideration. As I said, it's 130 units, 230 units, 122 of which are studio, 82 are 1 bedroom, and 26 are 2 bedroom. Now, those percentages are based on the very recent Tapestry Station development, based on demand, essentially. The studios were quick to go. Each unit has its own washer and dryer, and the idea is to create amenity spaces which are wonderful, so you can keep the units a little bit smaller and keep the price reasonable for the rent. We have a rooftop deck. We have a courtyard, beautiful landscaped interior courtyard. We have co-working space. We have a gym inside the building. We have a community room. We have dog grooming and dog walking areas. We have storage and over 100 bicycle spaces. So those amenities allow people to get out and socialize, but have a relatively smaller, wonderful unit, all with the washer dryer. Another key point I wanted to hit on, keep going. Next, please. These are some different views of the building. That's good. Another key ingredient to this development is the sustainability. We are trying to get to net zero. The units are all electric. There'll be no gas at all inside the units. And we're trying to get to net zero as much as possible. But I guess the most important part is that we're going to have solar energy on the roof. And we're going to have over 400 panels. So that's a big step for us. We didn't have that Tapestry. So 400 solar panels. We're also considering geothermal. That's not guaranteed at this point because we have to figure out the foundations and if we can do the wells. But we are pushing it as hard as we can, and it's going to be all solar. In addition, on the sustainability front, we're going to have a zip car on site. We're going to have all the bicycle storage, and then we're going to have what's called Ridey, which Andy has found, which is a great product. It's electric scooters and electric bicycles on site. We're going to have our own Ridey, which again will add to the not needing a car. We've seen in our experience that this is the right amount of parking for this particular development, so close to the train. We've had many community meetings. We've met with the business owners on Main Street as well as some of the neighbors. We heard that comment about the generator, and we've incorporated that comment into the latest designs at Custer, where we've enclosed the generator and are going to address that both at Tapestry Station as far as the noise, as well as at Custer Street. Final note, this will add 23 affordable units as well as 230 more units to go onto the tax roll, and I think really help support the retail on Main Street. That's all I have as far as the presentation. The whole team is available for questions.
Thank you. Before Councilman Nusma, I would ask that unless there are some, really critical amendments you want to make here, that we move this on to council. We have an opportunity to actually start council on time at 6:15. And so I'd love to move both of these on at council unless, again, there's some really important amendments that we have to make. That being said, because this is in Councilmember Nusma's ward, he will lead us off with discussion.
Urge the committee members and council members to have a full and robust discussion here at council, and then when it gets to
committee,
you're in committee. When it gets to council, we don't need to talk about it again.
I'm just concerned with, I don't know if anybody is here that wants to make a public comment at council, but I mean, we're all there, so.
I'm not going to make any amendments, but maybe turn the lights back on.
I think your mic is off.
Yeah, sorry there. So thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not going to make any amendments, but I am going to express my support for this project. And this might take a few minutes for me to go through all my reasons why. But if we look at our city council goals, this project directly addresses 4 of our 6 city council goals. It addresses affordable housing, it addresses finance, it addresses climate action, and it addresses economic development. So I'm going to take each one of those in order. So affordable housing, 23 units of affordable housing. That's kind of self-explanatory. in addition to those 23 affordable units, that leaves 207 market rate attainably priced units. And, there's a housing crisis in this country. There's a housing crisis in Evanston, and more housing at any level is what this community needs. So in terms of our housing and affordable housing city council priority, this project definitely checks that box. Our city council priority for finance, let's look at how much property tax that Dard factory is bringing in. Over the course of years, it has brought in no more than 20,000, hold on, let me look up my numbers here, I wrote it down. No more than $200,000, that was $197,000 was what their 2023 tax bill was. That was the highest in the last 5 years. We don't know exactly how much that assessment is going to go up. It's going to go up significantly by a factor of 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, even higher. Do you guys have any idea how much what your property tax bill is going to be? Let's just say $1 million a year. That is a little bit less than the ballpark number I got from our community development department. Let's just say $1 million a year. That's $400,000 a year for District 65, who I hear could use the money. That's about the same amount of money for ETHS, who certainly could put it to good use as well. This building is in the TIF district, so it's not a direct pass-through to the school districts, at least for a few years. But, certainly in terms of expanding our property tax base in town, this development checks the finance box. And that is not even to talk about the induced economic impact of having 250, 300 more customers right there around the corner from Main Street businesses. Next city council goal, climate action. Transit-oriented development itself is a climate action necessity. I checked with RTA. There are 12 locations in the RTA PACE territory where CTA, where an L stop and Metro stop are right together. 9 of those are in the city of Chicago. So 3 outside of the city of Chicago, 2 in the 4th Ward in Evanston, and 1 in Oak Park. So if this is not transit-oriented development, then there's no such thing as transit-oriented development. So those are the city council goals, 4 of which this project clearly meets. I also appreciate the additional public benefits that have been negotiated as part of this project. That includes $250,000 for paving of the alley. That's not the full price tag. The city will have to kick in some as well, but given the tax increment that's coming into the TIF, we'll be able to afford that. Public benefits also include $30,000 for the main Dempster mile to help further spruce up that area and make it look warm and welcoming to not only the existing residents of the neighborhood, but the new residents of the neighborhood, as well as all the visitors and customers that we hope to bring in. 4 of the affordable units are actually over and above the minimum requirement. So I appreciate you're going above and beyond there. So those are all the reasons I like this project. I like the activity. I like bringing people to Main Street. I like what it's doing for the financial vibrancy of Main Street and our community. Having said that, I have heard some concerns, and I just want to run through these concerns, quickly and acknowledge that I have heard them as the council member of the 4th Ward in which this building exists. So we have heard some concerns about parking and density. I'm going to come back to parking because I want to elaborate that a little bit, on that a little bit. I've heard some concerns about character of the neighborhood. We've heard a concern about generator noise. I've heard a concern about train noise. I've heard a concern about traffic flow. This is including use of the alley and some signage. I've heard some concern about the construction and logistics of this project, especially given the fact that Main Street has already been through the ringer in the past few years. Certainly understandable that folks are concerned about that. And Ms. Youngman mentioned rats, also a concern as well. So I am very comfortable that each and every one of these concerns has been acknowledged and dealt with, at least to my satisfaction. And I want to come back to parking a little bit. Mr. Pastor, you made a comment in public comment that there was not enough parking available in this area. I asked our parking folks to look up some numbers earlier today. There are 2 city parking lots off of Sherman, Lot 31 and Lot 8. This does not include the parking lot, the meter lot right across Main Street from Tapestry Station. So these are 2 other parking lots. Lot 31, which is on the east side of Sherman, has 29 spaces available. Only 6 spaces out of those 29 are leased. There are 23 available spaces right there, and that's across the alley from this new development. Lot 8, which is on the west side of Sherman and kind of bends around the Bibb and Tucker building onto Main Street, there are 62 spaces in Lot 8. Of those 62 spaces, only 15 are leased. So there is, quick math, 91 spaces, of which 21 are leased within a block and a half of this building, only 23%. There is plenty of parking available in the neighborhood. And these numbers are fairly consistent even after the Tapestry Station project was built. And so I've heard some concerns from residents near Tapestry Station, which is why we are expanding the neighborhood zone to that block of Sherman. This city council approved that. The signs hopefully will be forthcoming fairly quickly. If and when it makes sense to do the same thing north of Main for this project, we certainly can do that as well. So I don't regard parking as a concern here. And as several folks have said throughout this process, if you don't build it, they won't come. These are relatively small units, and they will attract the kind of renter who's not looking for extra parking. What we want to avoid is something like we saw at the Amley or the Albion, where the city required the developer to build more parking than was necessary, build more parking than the market demanded, and we still have to this day empty parking spaces in those developments. And all that does is drive up the cost of housing, because we have forced somebody to build housing for a car that doesn't exist rather than housing for a person who does want to move in. So this is transit-oriented development, less than 300 yards from a Metra and CTA. This is transit-oriented development, and people living in this unit will not have cars to the same extent they have in other developments in town. So I'm good to go on this. Few details yet to be sorted out as this unfolds. Those details include the layout of the curb and the sidewalk north of Main Street on Custer. That's written into the ordinance. A lot of that work is actually on the city, but we'll have to work with you guys to make sure there's adequate access for pedestrians as well as traffic up that stretch at Custer. And knowing that the trucks going into Evanston Lumber have had a difficult time there, we are all well aware of that constraint. And then some. We've talked about the traffic flow with your parking lots, and the north side parking lot, I think, is shown as one way, and we maybe want to make that 2-way, at least for the cars parking there, so they can exit out of on Sherman rather than going through the alley. And then the last detail that ideally I'd like to pin down is solar, and we've had some discussions about this. And is the roof going to be used for solar panels? I think that's awesome. Or do you need the roof for the rooftop units for the heat pumps? Or some combination of both. So you said 400 panels. Does that leave you enough room for the heat pumps? Awesome. Awesome. Would you guys be willing to include that commitment to solar in the ordinance?
If you could,
Cool. So let's, I'm about to wrap up here.
no,
I'm not
hold
gonna-
on, hold on. I'm just saying, can you repeat what they just said? Because it was off. They didn't go to the microphone.
Yes is the answer. They'd be willing to commit to that in the ordinance. In the interest of time, let's not do that tonight, but maybe between now and 2 weeks from now, we'll come up with the language and we can make a motion in a couple weeks. So I'm done. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm going to repeat what I said. We and we need to do a better job of this, but we noticed the council meeting for 6:15. I don't think there's going to be a ton of pushback, if any, on this item. And so again, I would ask that we vote on it now to move it forward to council. We can continue discussing there. Is everybody okay with that? We have Councilmember, is that Kelly?
Yeah, I just had a short comment.
Yeah.
I do want to say I do appreciate the 10% affordable housing units on site. That really is wonderful. So I will support this. I do want to advise to really heed, and I hear that Councilmember Newsma is doing that, the concerns expressed by the tenant, to really tend to those details now with regard to the generator, parking, and trash, to see what those are, because I know if it's, this is the time to really get those things ironed out. So I am, like I say, again, pleased with the green aspect as well as the affordable housing units. And I appreciate the conversations with Paul Dinson as architect to consider if there are any sort of elements that could be added to help sort of strengthen how it could aesthetically harmonize with the surrounding neighborhood, integrate with Main Street, maybe consider some features. So thank you, that's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Revelle.
I know you want to move us along, but I do want to echo the positive comments that my colleagues are making. The number of affordable units is really... We lost sound. The number of affordable units is really admirable, and we appreciate that, the sustainability features. And I appreciate Councilmember Newsma's investigation into the availability of parking to be leased in some of those nearby parking lots, because that I can appreciate that the parking is a concern from some of the neighbors of the building. So and I trust that we'll be ready to approve residential parking permit situation for that area if it's needed.
You call the roll. I think we're good. You want to call the roll? Yep.
Okay. Councilmember Reed.
Aye.
Councilmember Harakaris.
Aye.
Councilmember Revelle.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
Councilmember Wynn. Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma.
All right.
All right. Can someone move PD3, please?
So moved.
Was that
Second.
Reed? Moved by Councilmember Reed.
I will second
seconded-
item PD3, which is Ordinance 95024, special use for a planned development for a mixed-use building at 1621 to 31 Chicago Avenue in the D4 Downtown Transition District.
Seconded by Councilmember Newsma. Same thing, presentation?
We have a presentation, yes, if you would like it.
Would the committee like a presentation here or at council? How do we want to handle this?
Let's keep it here.
Okay.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Michael Esger, and I'm the attorney for the applicant, Horizon Group 23. And here with me today are the applicant team, including my partner, Rolando Acosta, and also Jeff Michael, who's the developer and owner of the site. We also have Tim Kent from Papa George Hames Architects. We have Jonathan Perman, the economic and feasibility study consultant for the project, and Michael Worthman, the traffic engineer for the project as well. And we wanted to, I'll briefly do this as quickly as possible. We have a slide here that sort of shows the evolution of the project over time. As many of you know, prior to my being involved, there was, we started with a 25-story building in 2017, and over time it's evolved to a shorter, less dense building. It's actually less than half the height at 12 stories versus the original proposed, and it's less than half the number of units at 110 versus the 215 originally proposed. Next slide. Whoop. Okay, so this shows our context, and you can see our context from the Mather looking west. You can see how we taper from the west going east to the residential area, and this shows that although the Mather is technically taller than us at 143 feet to the top, to our 135 to the top, the predominant roof height of 124 is the same as our predominant roof height, and 600 Davis is in the mix as well. Next slide shows our building in the more immediate context in which it sits, with the Park Evanston to right on the same street across the street at 100 feet taller than us, and we transition going east, and you can see the generous setbacks on all sides of our mid-rise building, as well as the generous setback at the top, so that we really are perceiving this as a shorter building 124 feet from the street. The next slide is the ground floor plan, and there's a lot of attention that's been paid to this ground floor plan. We're on the protected bike lanes of Chicago Avenue, and this project is fully informed by those bike lanes. It's a transit-oriented development project. It's got a lot of strong transit features. It's within the distance to the Davis stop, the Metra, 3 bus lines, and again, the protected bike lanes also really help with that, where we have included 1-to-1 bicycle parking. So 110 units with 110 bicycles. There's also charging stations for electric bicycles. And we have also our parking has been noted, and our loading all internal to the building off of the alley. So right now we have a situation where we have 7 different retail storefronts with 7 different loading places outside in the alley. This project consolidates everything internal to the site, and we have vetted this quite a bit with at our first community meeting. In fact, there wasn't even as much concern with height as really the alley was the main concern. And so in coordination with council members Kelly and Nusima, we met in the alley with staff and with members of our community like the church, so that we could all figure out how to better manage this alley. It's been a big point of discussion. We came up with a really robust alley management plan that's been vetted by Lakeshore Recycling System. They can do the trash pickup internal. By consolidating all this loading that's currently on the site into our building, we think that we're going to be definitely improving the functioning of this alley. And again, this has been vetted significantly by staff. A lot of time has been spent to work out a lot of these details with an alley management plan that's also contained in the ordinance. In addition, and the, sort of the hero of that and the conclusion is, besides the alley management plan and how we manage the alley, there's also an alley improvement plan, with the applicant agreeing to up its contribution with a last minute increase to $400,000 for this alley. And so finally, we'll go to the next slide. This shows the base of the building, and it's the redesign that occurred in the base was led by Councilmember Kelly. She actually had a request, and she met with our architectural team and actually drove some of the buildings in downtown Evanston. And this was then redesigned with her in mind and with her approval, and then it received approval of Design Evanston as well as the planning staff. Next slide. This really shows where we are today, and it's a really a culmination of a very thorough vetting process over many years, with significant reductions in size and scope of the project. Our currently proposed project responds affirmatively to all requests that have been made by the community. Council members Kelly and Nusima, Design Evanston, Bird Friendly Evanston, city staff, who's worked with us really detailed in a productive fashion to make sure that we're in compliance with the zoning code and leading to unanimous approval at Land Use Commission. These requests that have occurred with this project over time include, number one, Councilmember Nusima's request for the project to exceed the sustainability goals, and the applicant responded by making the building all electric for the residential portions. Councilmember Kelly's request again for this design design enhancement, which was achieved. Number 3, both council members and the neighbors, including the church, requesting significantly more details surrounding the alley management plan, which has been accomplished. Number 4, Councilmember Kelly's request for ownership to collaborate with key restaurant tenants of Horizon and the church to strategize a plan to minimize impacts during construction, including a construction management plan that takes their respective operations into account. Councilmember Newsom also requested the development team meet with the church to make sure that during construction, we weren't going to be blocking their parking lot and that they would have full access. And our construction management plan, in fact, achieves that. And so, and then both of these construction management plans and alley management plans, again, coming up with this greater public benefit of this improvement of the alley to really repave and to improve the entire alley from Church to Davis Street. In conclusion, our project has only 4 modest site development allowances, and despite these relatively minor requests, the project boasts a significant public benefits package, not just in terms of dollars, but in terms of time and other commitments. We're also proud that we have all of the affordable units on site in full compliance of the IHO, and they will be in the same proportion as the market rate units. Our public benefits package, besides the alley $400,000 that we've talked about in the alley management plan, includes a transportation improvement of $5,000, a GC apprenticeship program. As a condition to build this site, Horizon will require any contractor to implement an apprenticeship program to make career opportunities in the building trades available, including 5 opportunities, apprentice opportunities in the building trades, including sponsorship and support for those programs. The local employment participant hiring, it also is a condition to being awarded this job, the GC will be required to hire at least 1 LEP participant. There'll be an education scholarship contribution partnering with Oakton Community College to fund property management and building maintenance scholarship program for students of residents and that are residents of Evanston, with a total contribution of $50,000. And then again, this ownership apprentice program to enter into a workforce agreement with the city of Evanston, whereby Horizon will commit to provide at least 1 paid apprenticeship program in addition to what the GC is doing for at least 12 weeks, with the intention of providing full-time employment thereafter for staff positions in the building. The sustainability, of course, benefits that we discussed as well. Finally, there's a strong economic benefit from the project. There's a significant increase in real estate taxes. Most of that will benefit the schools, because in a building like this, there's not going to be a lot of school-aged children and families. And it also really helps with 110 new units in downtown to replace some and to sort of satisfy some of the impacts that COVID has had with the loss of people in offices and just shopping and going to the neighborhood restaurants. And so with that, we respectfully request, your approval tonight, and we're here to answer any additional questions or comments that anyone would have. Thank you.
Councilmember Kelly, did you have any comments that you wanted to make? I see your hand is up. Yep.
Sure, I'll comment. So this project has really come a long way, and I want to start by expressing appreciation and gratitude to both the team, the property owner team, the Michaels, the developers, the attorneys, but also to the Evanston community, the neighbors that surround this, for everybody's collaboration and hard work over the years. And I know it hasn't always been easy, but this really has come a long way. And this is an improved, this is a very much of an improved proposal here that really does integrate in a much better way with the transitional zone, with the D4 area, which is so important to our city. So I'm really grateful for all that. And it really, again, it was that deep collaboration over many years, but I think we're at a really good place now. So I am very appreciative of that. I think, we are getting 8 affordable units. I think most of us here would like to see more, but nevertheless, 8 is significant, especially in this part of town, in the downtown area. So I think that's all for now, but I just wanted to make that short comment.
Again, I'd appreciate if we can hold some of our comments until the next, until council, but Councilman Ravel.
Right. Well, I mean, I do think it's appropriate for us to have a discussion here at the committee level. So I agree with Councilmember Kelly. The project is vastly improved. It's a much more appropriate height, and I think it's going to be a great addition to our downtown. So I really appreciate all the work and the conversations that have gone on for many years. I guess I have more of a question for staff, if they could explain how the calculation of the affordable units is made and the bonus units and all of that.
Sure. Yeah, my pleasure. So they're proposing 78 dwelling units per code. That's 70 market rate units, and that's 8 affordable units. And because they have 8 affordable units in the zoning district, they're located the D4 district. They're allowed 4 extra bonus units per affordable unit that they're providing. So that takes a total of 78 units. And then you have the 32 bonus units, and that gets you to the total of 110 dwelling units that they're providing. Sorry, my name is Sam Hubbard. I'm the senior planner.
Yeah, okay. It seemed to me that there was, so they're still asking for an allowance beyond all the units that you just described.
No, they're allowed 54 dwelling units by right,
Right.
and then they're proposing 78 dwelling units. The 32 bonus units don't get factored into the density calculation.
Okay, it's very complicated.
It is, yes.
I trust we will be cleaning that up in our new zoning code. Okay, I too would love to see a couple more affordable units if you could manage it. I think that the project Warren said it would really be a great addition. Thank you.
Before Councilmember Noose, I want to make sure this is clear, as I don't think I was. The matter of when we start council is not a matter of appropriateness of discussing things here. I don't think anybody is going to make any amendment at committee, which is really, in my opinion, what committees are best used for. It's like we want to change anything. We've noticed council for 6:15. Some people have set their schedule around that. They may want to make public comment on other issues. And so because it's literally the same group of people that are going to discuss this again at council, that's why I've asked, considering the fact that we're likely not going to make any amendments here, and that it's the same group that's going to discuss this at council, respecting the fact that some people may have signed up for public comment, that and we've noticed it for 6:15, which we didn't have to do. We could have said 6:30, that we try to hold some of our comments so we can have the discussion at council. Councilmember Newsome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll keep it short. I'm not going to make any motions for amendment here, but I appreciate the work you've put into this. I think, through a combination of community engagement and council engagement, we are now at a height and density that I think we are, for the most part, very comfortable with. I appreciate the work your team has done with the church and with the alley. We're heading in a good direction here. The only hesitancy for me personally is the affordable units, and understanding that affordable housing is a critical priority for the city. That is, for me, the only remaining hurdle for me. So I guess we're going to be talking about it again in a couple hours, so I'll save more comments for that.
Should I respond to those comments now, or should?
Sure, yeah.
Or should we wait?
Let's let Councilman Reed go, and then you can respond.
I figured, since everybody's probably spoken up, we may not have to speak about this again at council. I'm glad we're here. I just want to say I'm disappointed that some earlier iterations of this project didn't pass because we need the additional housing here in Evanston. I wish we could have gotten around this idea that, I don't know, where does this imaginary line start that, we're going to have this taper zone down? I'm hoping that with our Envision Evanston 2045 process that we really reconsider some of the foundations of the way we view these developments. I think that it's unfortunate that we had a development take from, we started this you all started this in 2017, and it's now almost 2025, and we're just getting to the point where council is passing this for introduction, and that's not good for our city. That's not good for encouraging development. I understand that the neighbors had concerns that they wanted addressed, but I don't think we've ended up in a better place we're better than not having this project, but we're not in a better place from where we started with this project. And so, yeah, I'll leave it there.
You can call it.
If I
Unless there's,
could,
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to
I'm sorry.
address the two
I said you could
comments
respond.
on-
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
then
very
we'll call
much,
the roll.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I appreciate it. We agree, of course, with what you're saying, Councilman. And the bottom line is, if this was a bigger building, if this was the 215 units or more that we originally wanted, and as opposed to being literally less than half that amount, it makes it just not feasible to demand, with this significantly smaller building, where we've already given more public benefits. The $400,000 for the alley is an example of that, while keeping all of the same public benefits that we had previously. And now we're at the goal line. And then there's this, request for more affordable units, and it's just not economically viable. And we only have 110 units to spread this apart. We're not able to use all of our bonuses and all of our density. If we could get there. We're leaving 2 points of FAR on the table that would be allowed under the under the inclusionary housing ordinance. So that's it, but we can't use that because we can't go any taller. So we've been told that the building has to come down in height, has to lose the density, so we can't use the full IHO bonuses. There's another 0.6 that would be available. There's our height, we're using 9 feet 7 inches of a possible 40-foot height allowance. So this building could be much taller, which was previously before you, but that didn't work. So we believe, I guess in conclusion, that we've struck the right balance. We've struck a balance for a project that makes sense. It's got the right impacts that the community wants, the church wants, all of the neighborhood meetings. We've been to many. I've talked to Councilman Kelly. It feels like every other day now for a very long time. We've been in constant contact about additional things that we can be doing. We've done them all. And again, we're in full compliance of the IHO, and we're above and beyond in a lot of other ways. And so I would really respectfully request that let's not, the old expression, let's not let the perfect be the enemy of the great. We have a project here that works, it makes sense, and it's just not big enough to absorb any additional cost at this point. So I really thank you for your consideration, and I hope you understand what we're saying. We've listened, we're trying our best to do every single thing that so many different people have asked of us. And I think you can see that here with this proposal, and I hope you take that into account. So thank you very much.
Okay. Councilmember Kelly?
I don't think I had my hand raised.
We're voting.
We're voting.
Oh, I'm sorry, pardon me. Aye.
Councilmember Nusma?
Aye.
Councilmember Reed?
Aye.
Councilmember Hadakaris?
Aye.
Councilmember Ravel?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
And Councilmember Wynn? Unanimous?
I think that's it. All right, seeing no more matters before us, call this meeting adjourned. We'll start council at, what do you think? In 5 minutes, 6:45.